Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Page 30 in this book, but I don't know on the one online. Madiyam Shariram Madiyaha Pranaha Madiyam Manascha Madiya Buddhihi Madiyam Ajnanam Iti Svenaiva Jnayate Tadyatha Madiyatvena Jnatam Kataka Kundala Gruhadikam Swasmad Bhinnam Tadha Panchakoshadikam Madiyatvena Jnatam Atma Na Bhavati. What is this? Atma Na Bhavati? There is no Atma? No. That is just saying in this particular identification, that is not Atma. Now you see, we have to understand that one can get confused with this part of Tattvabodha because we have gone around the Robin's barn, right? First we talked about what? The three bodies. What are they? Just to quickly revise. Subtle body, gross body, subtle body and causal body. And then after that we talked about what? What else did we talk about? The three states of existence. The three states of experience rather. Sleep, sleep and more sleep. Waking, dream and deep sleep. Then we talked about the 5 koshas. What are they? Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. To put it in English, identification with the physical body, identification with the life force as I, identification with the meandering mind, identification with myself as the doer, and identification with myself as the experiencer of other people's doings. Correct? So in all this, and then plus we also went into some other details. Then we went into each of the koshas. Then we went into all these different various things, and then we went into what are the organs of actions, what are the sense organs. So we have to remember that this whole body of information is good to receive and to treat as a Vedanta primer, where we have all the definitions at our fingertips. But really speaking, it's answering that one question that was started in our book on page 12. Which was that question, Atma Kaha, what is this Atma? And then here what was talked about? So, that which is separate from the three bodies, that which is separate from the three states of experience, that which is separate from the 5 loci of error, the 5 koshas, and that is Atma, and that which is Satchidananda Swarupa, whose nature is Satchidananda Swarupa. So, we have to see that all this is just answering that one question. What is Atma? And what is Atma is best answered by what is Atma not. Why? Because, it's knowing Atma doesn't take time. It's in letting go of what is not Atma. That is what is where because there is misidentification, that misidentification has to be pointed out and delineated as not Atma. Okay, so now he's you know getting ready to summarize this, and in summarizing this, the author says that the very fact that you say this is my body, you know this is my prana, my breathing. You don't say this is my body, but it is the neighbor's breath, correct? This is, if this is the body, this body is alone breathing. The breathing belongs to me. And then what else? Madiyam, something else. What is buddhi? Madiya buddhi. The intellect, the one who is thinking about all these things and talking about them, is also me. Is belonging to me. This intellect is mine. And then all these things, and the ignorance is also belonging to who? Me. So when I have this relationship of belonging with various body parts, with various bodies, causal, subtle and gross body, and with the three states of experience belong to whom? Me. So I have this kind of a sense of ownership, right? So I own this body and all the mechanisms within it, the gross mechanisms, the subtle mechanisms, and I own all I even own the ignorance. So I own the causal body, because if somebody asks who is ignorant, I won't point somewhere else. I will say I am the one who is ignorant. I don't know. And so when I say all this, there is a unique relationship that is told between myself and all these things that I am listing. And that relationship is delineated by a sense of belonging. The body belongs to me, the mind belongs to me, my buddhi, the intellect, belongs to me. Everything belongs to me alone. Now, if we extend all this sense of belonging, then you go to the jewelry box, and then you say, this is my necklace, this is my earring, correct? Yeah. And so this is, and then you look around and say, this is my house, these are my jewels, this is my house. And so there is a difference, because in the case of the earrings or the house, there is no mistake. From my earring, it doesn't become me earring, correct? Yeah. If it does, then we are not talking of that. This is for garden variety cases, okay? Yeah. So this is for easily whatever, this is for the norm. So exceptional cases of identification we are not talking about. The normally what we say, when I say my house, I don't say I house. It's my house. There's a sense of belonging. There is a sense of separation. And then the relationship between the me and the house, I don't mistake the house for me. Not generally. There is a different set of arguments for that also, but for the time being, just go with this. I generally don't mistake the house for myself. I say, this is house, it belongs to me. This is kataka, kundala, this jewelry, it belongs to me. So there is a sense of belonging. So similarly, when I say my body, I have to see the same sense of belonging as with the house and the earrings. That is called objectifying the body or externalizing the body. Yeah, because the body, like everything else, is actually both outside. Outside means available for objectification. These are the hands, legs, face, etc., you can say. And it's also internalized. The feelings that I have about this body, they are projected on the body. One is never tall enough, one is never thin enough, one is never this enough, one is never that enough. That is what the whole thing is. And so therefore, this is a conscious way to stop oneself from seeing, from internalizing that which should really be outside. That which is an object, I cannot try and make the object into a subject. Because if the object is mistaken for the subject, then the subject becomes finite. Because every object is finite. The subject, the nature of the subject is infinite. Dvauhi padarthau, atma anatmanau. In this world, somebody said, there are only two things. What are they? Atma, number one, And number two, anatma. What is anatma? Not atma. And then how do I discern between the two? How do I get the viveka, the discernment between the two? Whatever I can see means through all the five senses, what I can infer, what I can objectify even in the mind, what I can observe is not me. This is the first level of delineation that one has to do. Anything that I can observe is anatma. And that is what the teacher is trying to get the student here to do this viveka for themselves. Because it's easy to say what is atma, you know. That's what I told you, Satchidananda. It's very easy. So, but that will not go home unless, this is what I talk about the teaching pedagogy, because unless the misidentifications are questioned and, you know, suspended, the truth of oneself cannot be internalized. Because what is internalized is the untruths. And they are occupying all the space and getting fat because they feed on each other. Yeah, this stuff feeds on itself. One day you feel something, and then another day you seek confirmation. You know, like that person who went to Pujya Swamiji, and this woman, and she said, I want a divorce. Why? You seem so happy. You've been married for so long. What happened? When everything was okay, but we moved to this some place. They moved, I don't know where, from one place to another place. They moved in the United States, and since then he ignores me, and whenever he looks at me he makes faces. She said, can you show me what kind of a face he makes? Swamiji asked. He goes like this all the time, and I'm sick of seeing his horrible faces. I want a divorce. Have you tried talking to him? Even when I talked to him, he made a face. So I said, I'm not going to talk to him. So call him. He was, of course, there somewhere in the satsang. He was called. What happened? And, because she's really upset with you. And he had no clue, of course. He is like, why? What happened? Because apparently you keep making faces at her. And then first he said no, he denied it. And she said yes. And then he made a face, that same face, in front of Swami. And, she said, see, there he goes again. And then he understood. He said, ever since I have moved to this new place, some kind of allergies have come. And I keep wanting to sneeze. And it's a terrible thing. You make the face ready to receive the sneeze, and the sneeze doesn't come. And then you wait and you make the face again. And you see what happens? So what happened in that case is that her own feelings of lack, were fed and became fat. Yeah. And they were fed this meal of these so many faces. Really, where there were no faces, the face is seen. Why? Because there is a internal face that is being made here, which one cannot face. And so that is basically what is happening. And so you see, this is why the mind, the buddhi, the place of cognition is filled with all kinds of things that should be outside, that are externalized. So what is the place for anatma? Outside. Where is it sitting? Inside. Yeah, it's like squatters. In India, this is a big problem. And these people, these NRIs. What are NRIs? Non-returning Indians. Okay, actually it's non-resident Indians, but we make fun and say non-returning Indians, because once they leave, they don't come back. They like America or wherever they are, and they in the West, and they stay there. Then they still have some longing for the homeland, motherland, and they still have this dream of building a dream home there, where 10,000 miles away, even though they are citizens here, and then they want to go back, and so they go. The next time they go for the holiday, they buy a plot, and the plot, of course, in India you can't just buy a plot and let it go. Yeah, because there are, if for every plot there are so many people waiting to occupy it, and occupancy is 9/10 of the law of possession in India. Really, it's a renter's land. India is. Yeah, even if somebody is paying 1 rupee, 1 rupee is 1/50th of a dollar. Okay, yeah, 1 rupee per month rent, they cannot be evicted. Right? I'm paying what I can afford. That person will say. It's the landowner's, nightmare. India is. So they buy this land, And then, of course, you have to keep a security guard to make sure that nobody is, squatting on it. And the security, of course, when the cat, and then this person comes back after the holiday, and the security guard has got a automatic, bank account, the money keeps going, or some relatives will keep on giving, and the security guard is feeling very secure because nobody to supervise, and the security guard goes to his village for a holiday without informing, and then in the weekend that he is gone, what happens? One small pole will come, just one small one pole, nothing else, and then the security guard comes back after 2 or 3 days and says, "Oh, that was not there. Was it there?" But who remembers? Doesn't matter. Then, emboldened by the fact that nobody supervised him, he goes away this time for 2 weeks to an even more remote village. And when he comes back, the poles have multiplied into 4 from 1. Okay? Yeah. And then over that is just a piece of tarp, thumbtacked, that's it. And then a family is staying underneath. Staying or not, they claim to be staying. That is more important. Whether they are staying or not doesn't matter. And then you have lost possession of that land. You have to fight for it. And then, you have to go to court. And going to court in India, thank God India is not a litigational society, because you can get moksha earlier than you getting a court, settlement. Really, you can get settled within yourself and get Jivan Mukti before you get a court settlement. It will go on because there are so many cases piling up. There are so many cases. So it will be at least 20 years. And then by which time the squatter can argue that this is my ancestral property, it now belongs to the grandson. What are you going to do? So the inner psyche is like that. It is filled with stowaways and squatters that have not paid their ticket, that do not deserve this beautiful dress circle of sitting in the buddhi. They do not belong there. They are in the form of all kinds of self-deprecating thoughts, all kinds of misidentification, all kinds of fears, all kinds of pains, all kinds of nonsense is occupying the buddhi. Anatma is sitting in the buddhi. I am as good as the body is sitting in the buddhi. I am as good as the mind sitting in the buddhi. I am as good as my degree sitting in the buddhi. I am as good as my pedigree sitting in the buddhi. This is what the whole head is crowded with, all kinds of notions. And there is no room for poor Atma to even set a foot inside. Yeah. And who is the owner? Atma is the owner. Yeah. And these squatters have made it their own. And so the squatters have to be evicted. And the eviction the eviction notice starts with what? With Svatmavidyananda, the first mantra that we say. And the squatters start to get a little nervous. What is this? I don't know about this. What is going on over here? What is this Tattvabodha? I just came because it will look bad if I don't come. So... I just came because I don't know, in my mad mind I signed up for this 1 month course, but now I'm stuck with this. So, and then here, what is this? Oh, there is a nervousness that is happening. As soon as the enquiry starts, all these squatters starts to get nervous, And thankfully, the litigation system is not like back home in India. The litigation system is immediate and the justice is immediate here. You don't belong, period. Yeah, that's what it is. And so the teacher is evicting these so-called squatters, which are filled up the psyche, filled up the head, so that the Atma can show itself. Poor Atma, stifled, squashed, and completely overshadowed by the ignorance and by the misunderstanding of who this I is. This is what is going on here. So that's why the teacher has to first say what the Atma is not. Why? Because one is identified with what one is not so strongly that one will even fight to say, no, I am finite. Some people will say that. I am finite. What are you going to do? Nothing. Nothing I want to do. Namo Namaha is the only thing sometimes one can say. So therefore, having said all that, having, talked about the various types of places where the I notion can get stuck, the I notion can get stuck in the body mind sense complex. The I know, thinking that itself is the body, itself is as good as the mind. The I notion can get stuck in the physical, what is that, the subtle and the causal bodies. The I notion can get stuck in the five locus of the loci of error. I am as good as the doer, I'm as good as the done in, I'm as good as this, that, everything. And so all that has to be marjanam, kurvantaha. You have to sweep all that, having swept all that, then one is ready to see what are these things that were occupying this land, which belongs to the Atma, this buddhi, which is really a reflection of the Atma. What was this nonsense that was occupying it? And all these identifications are converted to belongings, not I, but me, not me and I, but mine. You see, that's one step, gaining a little inner space. Because when I say I body, there is no space. But when I say my body, there is somebody inside this body that is saying my body, correct? The indweller of this body is claiming this body to be me. That's far better than saying I body, I mind, you know. So that is why the example of the house, the necklace, the earring, and the jewelry are given. So have a relationship with your body similar to what you have with your watch or with your ornament. An ornament is for cosmetic purposes, correct? It's an ornamentation. It makes me feel happy. So therefore I wear the earring. I put on the watch. So similarly, it makes me feel happy. Therefore, I have donned this body. Yeah, I have donned this body just like I don the clothes, just like I don the earrings, just like I don the necklace. Similarly, and this, of course, the body as a pair of clothes is already there in the Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter. Vasamsi जीर्णानि यथा विहाय नवानि गृह्णाति नरोपराणि तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णानि अन्यानि संयाति navani dehi. What is this over here? So vasamsi, clothes. Just as one discards the old clothes effortlessly, you know, happily one gives it away to goodwill and everything. Why? Because one can go shopping again. Yeah, if you get rid of old clothes, you can go shopping again. That is thrilling. And so, therefore, one happily lets go of the old clothes so that one can wear a new clothes. And equally effortlessly, one transmigrates from one body to another. So, the body is just a ornamentation for the Atma, and as though ornamentation, which allows it to talk, walk, move, and otherwise express itself. That's all it is. Bhoga ayatanam, a, a place, a counter for experiences, a place where sadness and joy are experienced. The locus of experience is the body. And what about the subtle body? It's a medium for experiencing all these things. So all these things belong to me. They are not me. They are to be taken such, the student is told. Now the student is not quite happy because the original question, what was that? What is Atma? Was not completely answered. Even though the teacher snuck in there, sneaked and said what? Satchidananda Swarupaha. That was forgotten because it's new. It's not this. So now the student gets a little impatient in the question. Atma, Tarhi, Kaha. But what then is this Atma? Satchidananda Swarupaha. Sat kim कालत्रयेऽपि तिष्ठति इति सत् चित् किं ज्ञानस्वरूपः आनन्दः कः सुखस्वरूपः एवं सच्चिदानन्दस्वरूपम् स्वात्मानं विजानीयात्. So the student says, but what is this Atma? And the answer is what? The nature of Satchidananda. What is this Satchidananda? First we have to break it down. What is this Sat? That's the next question. What is this Sat? Sat means that which exists is Sat. The word for exists is Sat. So when I say flower is, what am I trying to say? Flower exists. Correct? Flower exists. And then what? I can say that today. Perhaps tomorrow I can still say flower exists. If I continue till next week, holding the same flower, flower exists, flower is, flower is, flower is. At some point it's going to be what? Flower was. Right? Or rather, what is it going to be? Flower is not. And even in the words is not, is there. Correct? So when I say flower is, the is doesn't belong to the flower. It's very simple to learn. Yeah. What does the is belong to? To the one who says flower is. That is belongs to me. So when I say flower is, I do the flower a favor of lending my existence to it and saying flower is. So when I say flower is, what I'm saying is the I with the name and form of flower is. That's all. That is, so the is doesn't go away. The is always there. Whether we talk of flower or we talk of pot. So when I say pot is, now we know we know this now. We know the drill. After this, what do we say? No, pot is not the ultimate. What is this? Clay is, molecule is, particle is, and ultimately observer alone is. Yeah. So all this is business. Anything which is where I use the word is to signify or to shine the light on a word and its meaning. That's all. The word is used in connection with the word and its meaning with a name and form. Is Brahman, which is the truth of I, Atma. Is Atma. Is infinite. Is plus name and form. That is what is the finite world of objects. Is nothing but is plus name and form. Flower is, telephone is, computer is, book is, glasses, pair of glasses is, cloth is, pot is, hat, cat, mat is. The is does not belong to the object. Why? Because the definition of is given here. Kalatrayepi tishtati iti sat. That which is unchanging in time, which is not subject to time, is the meaning of the word is. So when I say flower is, am I really describing the flower? No, because the flower is subject to time. So that which is free of time is the meaning of the word is. Free of time and existence, unbound by time. So the sense of being without the time-space continuum. So a being that is infinite, you see? Yeah. So a being that never stops being. The is always is. Even when I say flower is not, I am constrained to use the word is. So when I say flower is not, what am I saying? I'm cognizing the absence of the flower. The absence of the flower is. The is doesn't go away. I may want it to go away, but it won't go away. It resolves. It really, the only thing that I can say is that the is resolves in the I. Whatever I say, this is, that is resolves into I, which is Sat Swarupa. How do I know? Because can you say I am not? Huh? I mean, you can try. But when you say I am not, what are you saying? I is. That's what you're saying. You're not saying I am not at all. What are you saying? I alone is. In fact, when you say I am not, you're advertising yourself. So the I cannot disappear, right? And the objects cannot stay. This is what it is. The I never disappears. And the objects that this I qualifies do not stay. They are subject to time. They are born in time, sustained by this time, and then go back into this. They are subject to the time-space matrix. Now, who is the author of time? The time also resolves in I. Why? Because when I say I have been waiting for half an hour, supposing I think that, then how do I know? I don't have a watch, but somehow there is a sense. Oh, half an hour must have elapsed. How do I know? Because time is an object of my perception, witness perception. So time is also an object of my perception. You see? So it cannot have an effect on the subject. The subject is not bound by time. And that which is unbound by time is the meaning of the word is the meaning of the word I. There is one more definition of Sat which is not discussed here. Abadhitam Sat, that which cannot be negated. It's the same thing, but we say it separately because it's important to know both these parts of this definition. So one is what? That which always is. Kalatrayepi tishtati, that which is the same, unchanging in all the three periods of time, past, present, future. That which is not subject to time. And the other one, that which is non-negatable. Non-negatable. And that, of course, our pot goes away, correct? Yeah. Poor crack pot. Yeah. So many cracks. So little time. Yeah. So non-negatable, and the pot is eminently negatable. In fact, that's why I keep brandishing it. Each time I brandish it, I negate it. Right? Yeah. Because when we are looking at pot, what are we looking at? Clay. So the pot is negatable. And then when we look at clay, clay is negatable or not? Clay is also negatable. When we look at molecules or powdered clay, that is also negatable. Then quarks, particles, whatever particles, quarks, etc., everything is negatable. There's only one thing that is not negatable: the observer, the witness, I. So that's why we have to reduce this whole world into two first, as a stepping stone. We have to say, in this world there is only two things: I and not I. Kind of a nice way to progress. So all this whole world of daunting duality is just pared down into two: me and not me. And then the not me I don't have to bother with, correct? Because it's not me. Why would I bother with it? And the me is beyond being bothered. You see, right here is mini enlightenment. Yeah. Right here. There is nothing, nowhere further to go. This is the teaching. The same thing is just goes deeper and deeper and deeper as more of the, more sifting takes place, more internalization takes place. But right here is the knowledge. This whole world of daunting dualities and this multiple universes and all these things that are coming at me, all these things. I know myself as Sat. I know myself as that which is not subject to time. And then what? Even if I don't know myself, I take that. I and not I. Not I is perishable. I is imperishable. The perishable cannot act upon the imperishable. This is very good. This is itself enlightenment here. So this is non-duality right here. So what do? I take the duality that is there, and then I just have a frame of reference to relate to it by saying I and not I. Then not I don't bother with the not I, and the I is beyond. I know the I. I take the I first as with Shraddha, with some faith pending understanding. I take the I to be imperishable to the not I. The not I is perishable. The I cannot come under the influence of the not I. So I am safe. I am secure. I am okay. So this is itself, even we don't even need to go to Chit and Ananda. Sat itself is enough. to free one from the samsara. That I alone is, and everything is because I is. Yeah, grammatically incorrect, but cognitively very sound. This is all that one needs, and this is what is called Advaita, and this is really, this really saves one from a number of predicaments. But if one is being chased by a wild animal, one has to use the brains. You can't just sort of say this is what it is, like that story. You know that story? So in the king's court, there was a duelist. Who is a duelist? A duelist who's constantly dueling, and the Advaitin, the non-duelist. And the king kept both of them in the court because he was amused by their infighting. So they all went on a nice hunt together, right? And then what happened? They were just enjoying a picnic. They had everything, they were sitting in the forest and just enjoying the sights and the sounds. But one non-enjoyable sound came. What was that? A rustling in the, yeah, rustling in the brush behind, in the underbrush behind them. And then sound of running feet and people screaming, man-eating tiger on the loose. Run. Who ran first? The duelist or the non-duelist? The non-duelist took off. Yeah. The Advaitin took off. He just said, I'm not going to wait here. And then the other people also came. Nobody was harmed. And thankfully the tiger was full and did not want to, eat anybody. So everybody was, animals don't generally kill unless they are hungry, So then what happened? Everybody was saved. They came back to the palace, and the duelist said, aha, see, Maharaj, he said to the king, you keep favoring him and you keep giving him all kinds of goodies all the time in the court. You keep mentioning his name. And he is the one who keeps saying everything is mithya, 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 not I, not I, not I. Mithya, mithya, mithya. And then, and look who took off. So if everything is mithya, mithya means that which is dependent upon I. So this dependent upon Sat is called mithya. So if everything is mithya, the tiger is also mithya. So who was the first one who took off? He was the first one who took off. And the king said, here, what do you have to say? Oh, Advaitin, what do you have to say? And the Advaitin was very calm. And he said, I know, I have said tiger is mithya. But whenever I said that running is satyam, running is also mithya. So you do mithya running in the face of a mithya tiger. Yeah. It's all as though. So that is Sat Swarupa. And then the next question is what? What is Chit? Because in the word Sat, Chit, Ananda, 3 words are there. So what is Chit? Chit is described as Jnana Swarupa, of the nature of pure consciousness. That's the translation. So consciousness here means awareness. Whose awareness? There's only one awareness, my awareness. Yeah. But what if somebody else says my awareness? That is awareness, okay? Yeah. So awareness that is unconditioned by the body, mind, sense complex is called Chit. Can, awareness ever be conditioned? Can you trap air in this pot? Can you trap space in the pot? No. So you cannot say awareness is conditioned. Awareness is as though conditioned. It appears to be conditioned because that which is all pervasive like space, can it ever be conditioned? The answer, of course, is no. But it looks to be conditioned. Why? Because this awareness resides in this miserable body, mind, sense complex. Yeah. And so the awareness, is, usually I know of awareness when I am aware of something, correct? So when I say, again, let's bring this fellow back. When I say, this is a flower. So who is the object? This is the object. Who is the subject? I. So the Awareness is where? In the flower or in me? In me. Because the flower is not saying this is the person, this is the teacher, right? So I am saying you are flower or this is a flower. So my awareness or the awareness that is here is as it were going out to the flower and cognizing this flower. Correct? So I am aware of the awareness usually when there is something to be aware of. Got it? So when there is something to be aware of, I am aware of the awareness. Generally speaking, that's why there is this kind of a dyad. So the awareness as though splits into the subject of consciousness and then the object of consciousness. So seer, seen, sight. You see? This is how I know awareness to be fragmented. But really speaking, all there is awareness. So if we can't really conceptualize it, but if we can understand this, if we can cognize the awareness without these splits, seer, seen, sight, hearer, heard, hearing, and so on and so forth. That which is awareness, without needing to be aware of anything, it is still consciousness. It is of the nature of awareness, which then takes on many forms, which morphs into seer, and the same awareness as though morphs into seen. The same awareness morphs into the seer, and the same awareness we call seen. Without undergoing any change. This is the most important thing. Because it's not that the awareness is getting smaller and smaller. So I shouldn't have too much knowledge, because if I get to know many things, then the awareness, quotient will AQ. Awareness quotient will shrink. No such thing. Why? Because we are talking of that which is free of time. That Sat alone is Chit. There is no two things, Sat and Chit. The Sat, the is, happens to be in the nature of consciousness. That isness happens to be sentient. Got it? Sentient how? Infinitely, limitlessly sentient. That will come later. So it's not that first there is and then there is consciousness. No, that is wrong. The existence that we are talking about is one existence without a second that happens to be limitlessly sentient. Okay? So in this limitless awareness, there is, even though it morphs as though into the seen and seer, it does not undergo any change. The seer is a imposition, as it were, a superimposition on this awareness. The seen is also an as though superimposition on the awareness. The awareness is unchanged. It's like the actor playing the role of a hero in one film, or sometimes what happens, the same actor, it's like, what is that called, mono acting, wears different hats, without even much dress up, conveys in the same tone, fulfills the role of being the hero and then also being the one who is rescued without undergoing any change. Similarly, this awareness is like that. It is the seer, it is the seen, it is the subject, it is the object. So the object and the subject are mithya. They are dependent upon this awareness to have a being. Their being rests in the awareness. Their being emerges from the awareness. Their being is sustained by this the awareness. There is no separate being for the subject or the object. The subject is a status in relation to the object, which is a status of that same nameless, infinite, boundless awareness, which is the only source of existence. Or you can say that same existence is the boundless source of awareness. It's the same thing. Sat is Chit, Chit is Sat. Okay? Then what? Why? What does this all have to do with me? Why should I know all this, and confuse my mind? Sat is Chit, Chit is Sat, and what is this? Why should I be concerned about this at all? The answer is given in the next question. Anandaha kaha sukhaswarupaha. So what is Ananda? What is Ananda? Ananda is the last word used in Sat Chit Ananda. So what is this Ananda? Ananda is happiness. What kind of happiness? Small chocolate cake happiness. Huh? You know, this thing happiness. Small happinesses. Ice cream happiness. Huh? No. Happiness here, actually, it's not happiness at all. Even though the teacher tells like this, I'll tell you why the teacher tells like this. It is actually limitlessness. But then, the teacher, poor teacher, I'm just kidding, okay, don't take this seriously, I'm just joking. The poor teacher will be out of a job. All the Vedanta teachers will be out of a job if we were to start saying we are peddling in limitlessness. Nobody will come because limitless, nobody understands. Yeah. Limitless or without limits or, eternal. Nobody understands eternal. Eternal is always, the notion of eternal is always bound by time in the head of the person. Eternal is something that hangs out in time for a long time, like an in-law, Yeah. That is what is the concept of eternal for most people, for everybody. Why? Because one is just, what should I say, influenced by the time-space matrix. One cannot think beyond that. So nobody is going to even understand this pursuit if I said limitlessness, or if any of the Vedanta teachers use the word, limitlessness. And there is a reason for this, because limitlessness is not understood. So if you don't have a value for something, why will you come and study that? Nobody will study that. So therefore, the Shruti herself changes the word Ananta, limitless, to Ananda, seen from the ultimate standpoint of the human pursuit. Because what do you want? Happiness. When do you want it? For 5 minutes, right? No, forever. You see that forever is the limitlessness. And being free of limitation is the happiness. So the Shruti herself, the Upanishad herself, modifies the term in keeping with the ignorant jiva's pursuit. And this is why the Upanishad is seen as 1,000 functional mothers. It is so gorgeous. It's so beautiful. It's so lovely. The Upanishad is seen as 1,000 functional mothers who leads the person, the ignorant, from ignorance to knowledge, slowly, with a lot of love. And this is an act of compassion and love, where the Upanishad gets down to the level of the jiva, who's clamoring for happiness and says, okay, that's what limitlessness is. It shows it to be happiness without limitations. Because any kind of happiness that we meet, by meeting the happiness that is generated through an encounter with the subject and the object, as in this, looking at this flower makes me happy. You see? So any happiness that is generated, depends upon three things. Depends on the object. The object has to be readily available, has to be fresh, and has to be in my hand, correct? And then it depends on the subject. I should be available, I should be there, the subject should be there, the object should be there. It also depends on the third thing, which is that the temperament and the circumstances. Yeah. So if supposing I'm in a bad mood, and I don't, my mind is not at all here because it's preoccupied with something, and even though the most beautiful flower is available, it is presented to me, I'm unable to be happy. Correct? Because the mindset is not there. And so the mindset is very important. And also, what is this mind? Then one's own ragadveshas, karma. Karma plays a role in the fulfillment of desires. Yeah. Because if one should have the good karma to be able to fulfill the desires. Yeah. So that is what, so there are so many things, so many factors in this contact happiness. When the subject contacts the object, the union of the subject and the object to take place, it is so difficult because so many things come in the way. Karma comes in the way, so many things come in the way. It's easier to get self-knowledge, really, I tell you. Yeah. Rather than to hanker after objects, because there are so many things in the mix before one can really be truly united with the object. And even if one is united with the object, two things can happen. The object is finite, so it can go away, or even if the object is not finite, I get sick of the object. Ah, even if I outlive the object, I get sick of the object. I don't want to, I don't want this object anymore. So therefore what? So therefore, this contact happiness is really, one is contacting, the other is really. Yeah. It's like a shadow play. In Indonesia they put a screen and then they have these shadow. Sometimes they do it with the fingers for children. And you make all these animals, you say turtle and fish and all these things. It's the same finger in various combinations. Yeah. It's the same awareness as though splitting into I want this, I don't want this. As though splitting into wanter and wanted. It's the same limitless awareness. So if I don't know this, what happens? All the eggs are in the basket of the objects. Yeah. Because I use the objects to derive the happiness and constantly subject myself to torment, because this is not possible. It is not something that can be sustained. So here the focus is brought to the subject for whom alone all the objects exist, to bring out that lovable subject. And this is what Maitreyi, a student in the Upanishad, in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, is told by her teacher, Yagyavalkya. Yagyavalkya tells her, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Everything becomes lovable for the sake of oneself. Yeah. And then he goes to explain what he means. Husband loves the husband for his own sake. He's not doing the wife a favor. The wife loves the husband for her own sake. She's not doing him any favor. The parents love the children for their own sake. So they cannot guilt trip the children and say, look at all the things I'm doing for you. The children also love their parents for their own security and their own sake. Yeah, this we have to remember. So anything that I do, anything that I love, is not for the sake of that object. There's nothing in that object. It's for the sake of the subject alone. So therefore what? The subject is the only thing that is, and the only thing that is lovable, the only thing that is infinite, the only thing that is infinitely lovable. That's all it is. And so therefore that has to be discovered. If that is not discovered, this subject is overshadowed. This knowledge is overshadowed with a sense of self-loath, self-doubt, self-questioning, which leads me to seek all these dead-end things, thinking that it will make me infinite. It won't. So this is what is called Sukha Swarupa, is called, in keeping with the human pursuit. In the common man, common woman's pursuit is what? Ananda. I want happiness. I want happiness now, and I want happiness forever. Yeah. So all there is one sentient being who is limitless, who is limitlessly existent, limitlessly sentient, and limitlessly free of all kinds of constraints, space-wise, time-wise, object-wise. Okay? More we will see on Monday. On Monday 1:15. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. I will take a few questions since we have some time.
When you said karma gets in the way, are there ways, if you don't know it's coming, I guess, you've mentioned other ways to create good karma?
Yeah, prayer.
Okay.
Best way is through prayer. create good karma through prayer. That will be like the antibodies that will either neutralize or at best, at least alleviate the whatever there is as a block.
So I don't know, I'm not sure if I understand. So when you say that this knowledge will uh, remove the, I don't know how to say, remove karma, or open your eyes and these kind of like,
Karma gone.
yeah,
No.
even after all we've done a lot of bad stuff in other lives or whatever.
Yeah. That is hard to see. And it is hard to see because our vision is very much enmeshed into the karmic model. So it's difficult to see that at first. So the best analogy to look at is to see in the dream. If supposing there was somebody chasing you in the dream, in your own dream, and then you tried to run, and then what happened? You had a leg cramp and you were being outrun by them, and then you were thrashing in your sleep out of helplessness. Somebody woke you up and gave you a glass of water. No, no, it's just a dream. Come on, you're okay. And after you drink the water, will you continue to run because those people are after you? Will you continue to run because those people are after you? Will you? The dream people, no. Are the dream people after you when you wake up? No, they are gone, right? Similarly, the karma is like the people, eh, you know, what's its name? Running. Yeah. Karma is like all these things. Karma is what? My own feelings of omissions and commissions. That is what karma is. My own omissions and commissions. And then my own regrets, my own guilts, my own hurts. This is what karma is. My own, omission and commission. So the other time I explained, I used another metaphor to explain. Sometimes when you're waiting for the luggage, the thing that goes around, carousel, and sometimes, somebody's luggage will be there. It's either come there by mistake or somebody else. Right now, there is no owner, right? So those to whom those luggages belong, they take their bags and go away. And this one lone suitcase is going round and round. Poor thing, it doesn't belong to anybody. That is how your karma is. Yeah. It's like a dead man's bank account. It's gone, or better still, dead man's debt. Dead person's debt. What will happen to the debt of a dead person? Resolved. Because there's nobody to claim this is mine. Because I claim what is mine is Satchitananda, that is alone me. So everything else that is unclaimed goes. It keeps going around for some time and then finished. Yeah.
We give up this attachment, this claim to what we are looking at in the karma model. In the same way, we give up this misidentification, this attachment to body, mind, sense complex, and all the other doer, enjoyer identities.
Yeah, identities are there, but they are falsified or as though identities. You can enjoy the identity. You don't have to, start becoming artificial. And so in some sadhu cultures in South India, they say, "Who came? When did you come, Maharaj?" You ask them. This came yesterday. When are you going to leave? This is going to leave day after tomorrow. Have you eaten? This is still hungry. You don't have to go through that kind of a separation because we are talking of something that is all one. So you can say, I came, I got up, I sat, I went, I'm eating, I'm drinking. But the I is not the same as the I that was there before. The I is Sarvatma. It's everything and everybody. And it is a falsified I. It knows what it is saying. Yeah.
So, if the teaching is really the essential part of this whole thing, then, for instance, then I don't need to jump through all these other hoops of dressing a certain way or eating a certain way. I mean, other than conducting myself dharmically, I'm not having to say, well, I got to do this and I got to do that, I got to do that, and then at the end, I'm standing there to get my card punched. Like, oh, okay, you did all those things. all that's essential is just the teaching in order to.
Yeah, really. See, the primary sadhana, the primary means for this to get rid of self ignorance is self knowledge. That's really what it is. If somebody says that is not enough, then we say, okay, meditate, or okay, sit quietly for some time, or ask some more questions, get rid of the doubts, relive the words of the teaching. That's all should be there. That's all is there. And your own life is enough. You're already jumping enough hoops in your life. We are saying use the hoops that you already have in your life. We are not giving you new hoops. We have no interest, really. Yeah, otherwise every Vedanta teacher will become a circus master. Rings and hoops, That is not. Yeah, with a whip and a ring. That's not what it is. The life itself is full of hoops. Yeah. So use the hoops that you have in your life as you jump those hoops to grow into a being that is ready to accept this teaching. You have enough hoops. You don't want to add any more. Yeah. That's a good question. I like that question. Doing good deeds also adds up the good karma, which brings us back to the mortal life. Right now, we don't worry about that because first we stack up the good karma as a Vedanta student, and then what happens? The good karma is like Harishchandra's stick. Harishchandra had to be what's it called? A funeral groundskeeper, Chandala, and and that means that sometimes the bodies keep rising because of certain gases being released, and so in the cremation you have to use the stick to keep beating them down, and you have to keep beating them down, and you have to use the stick to keep beating them down, and after a while they just settle down, the body settles down to be cremated, and then what do you do with the stick? You throw that also into the fire. So you don't, the good deeds, when you do, you can continue to do the good deeds, and whatever good karma is not used, and all the good, see, this is the new plan. The new plan is to continue to do good deeds, and all the good karma, the punya that is accumulated, use it for Vedanta. Use it to, really dedicate oneself to this teaching, and use it to generate no obstacles for the knowledge to come to you. And then whatever is extra, when you can just dispose of it. If you don't use, it will go away. No problem. Yeah. We don't worry about good karma. Yeah. It will resolve.
Good
Yes.
karma, bad karma, but balance.
Balance.
Not doing too much, not doing too little. Paying attention to what there is. I mean, the way to.
Yeah, you see, what we talk about when we say good karma, punya, if you are a Vedanta student, what happens is that the punya you naturally become dharmic. You see, that's one of the prerequisites. Is shamadama, uparati, titiksha, etc., which means not hurting people, going with the flow, living in a karma yoga, living in a place of glad acceptance, right? So all this you are already practicing, so you are going with the flow. Going with the flow itself is good karma. So you can't help doing good karma. You naturally do good karma. And here is another secret, Each time you sit in a Vedanta class, you're accumulating punya. You're getting good karma. It is good karma. Yeah, we should tell everybody we should tell this. That each time people sit in a Vedanta class, you are getting punya. This is very important to know. Everybody should know this. Yeah. So what will you do with that punya? That punya will be used to gain more classes. That's all it is. You see, punya is like currency. You can direct it more or less after a while to what you want to spend it on. And if you're not interested in going abroad and wanderlust, if you're not interested in malls and all these things, naturally the punya will fructify. You're giving an avenue for the punya to fructify for more classes, for the teacher to visit more often. Yeah, as a result of your punya. This is what it is. Yeah, the teacher visits more often as a result of collective punya. So this is how you create the avenue for the punya. Yeah, so you create more teaching situations as a result of your punya, and you pray for that. So then you create a little kind of a little avenue for the punya to flow towards gaining more knowledge, gaining a deeper assimilation of the knowledge. No problem. Yeah. Can one do bad karma and justify I am not attached to it and I am eternal? Yes, one can, but it would not be correct. That's all. One can justify. People have done all kinds of things. And in fact, in another class, recently I joked that if this Vedanta teaching is given before Dharma, then that will be the new defense on the stand. I am not, how do you plead? Not guilty, Your Honor, by way of the fact that I am a karta, I am not the doer. Yeah, that will be the latest defense. Every serial killer will be thrilled, but that is not the point here. In fact, the Kathopanishad also says, duscharitat avaritam, na duscharitat avaritam, the one who has not withdrawn from wrong and improper actions, please do not give this knowledge, do not bother. It is a caveat to the teachers. Don't waste your time giving this knowledge to people who are going to misuse it. So akarta, I am not the doer, is there for the person who is qualified through karma yoga, through leading a life of karma yoga, which is keeping Ishvara in view, keeping dharma seeing dharma as a manifestation of Bhagavan, not as a mandate of Bhagavan, seeing dharma as a manifestation of Bhagavan, glad acceptance of whatever comes, and then I seek that maturity, and then also accruing shamadama uparati titiksha shraddha samadhanam and all the qualifications. Only to that person the knowledge is given, then it is safe, because the person has become naturally a dharma loving person. Yeah. And is therefore unable to misuse the knowledge. ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्, असतो मा सद्गमय, तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय, मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिः ॐ.